Thanks for watching this portion of Garage Logic on our YouTube channel, and thanks to our friends at Everest Men's Health for supporting this. Go to everestmenshealth.com to see if their team can help you with stronger energy and better health. And catch the Garage Logic podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I'm looking at a story from the University of Wisconsin-Madison News Department, and I'm looking at a picture of workers having strapped a very large rock and then lifting it onto a flatbed truck with a crane. And it turns out that the University of Wisconsin-Madison moved the former Chamberlain Rock, an object that had become a painful symbol of racism to generations of students, to a site off the campus. The rock had sat at the crest of Observatory Hill since 1925. That same year, it was referred to in a newspaper headline by a deeply offensive nickname that included a racial slur. The derogatory nickname was commonly used at the time to refer to any large, dark rock. Well, let me stop right there. As is usual, when Mysterians dump this news at my feet, I'm completely innocent of ever having known that. And two, this isn't necessarily a dark-colored rock. Looks like a rock to me.
May I see it?
Does that look like a dark-colored rock?
It's got shades of dark, but it's
mostly
not. And a lot of rocks were referred to that way.
The Wisconsin Black Student Union, in partnership with the Native American student organization Wunk Chic, led an effort to remove the rock from the campus. It's on Madison's main campus is on ancestral Ho-Chunk land. Last November, students testified at a meeting of the campus planning committee that the continued presence of the rock was a daily reminder of the injustices, past and present, that students of color face on campus. Committee members recommended to Chancellor Rebecca Blank that the rock be moved. Blank accepted their recommendation. It took courage and commitment for the Wisconsin Black Student Union to bring the issue forward and to influence change alongside the UW's Wank Chic student leaders, said Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs Lori Reeser. In the midst of demands for justice following George Floyd's murder last summer, the students wanted a change on campus, and they worked hard to see this through. While the decision required compromise, I'm proud of the student leaders and the collaboration it took to get here. Okay. Madison senior Nala McWhorter, who served as president of the Wisconsin Black Student Union during the 2020-21 academic year, was among a small group of onlookers who watched as a crane lifted the rock out of the ground early Friday morning. It was very meaningful for me to be here and to see the process all the way through to the end, McWhorter said. It was about a year ago that we released our demands and met with the chancellor and explained to her why those demands meant so much. It was a powerful moment today to see this demand come full circle. McWhorter said she hopes that the removal of the rock inspires other students to work for change on campus. Does that mean they should also go around and find things that they can imagine to have been racially charged at one time in history?
Really?
I see this as offering the next generation of students something to build off, she said. We've got this project going, and now the next round of students can continue to work on other demands and come up with other ideas. The rock is a rare, large example of a Precambrian era glacial erratic, likely over 2 billion years old. It had been designated as a monument on campus in honor of Thomas Chamberlain, a noted geologist who also served as president of the University of Wisconsin from 1887 to 1892. There is no evidence offered here that they couldn't find fault with Chamberlain, apparently.
No. From the article, the piece I'm reading, it was called that once by the Wisconsin State Journal in a 1925 article. And university historians have not found any other time that term was used in reference to this rock, but they said the Ku Klux Klan was active on the campus at the time, according to the newspaper.
What does that have to do with a rock?
Right.
I know. And it was a universal term used for all black rocks.
Well, and it was unseemly. Obviously, it was an unseemly term.
So wait,
Joe, but there's no evidence that it was routinely used throughout the generations.
Okay, what? I know you can't say it, but what did they call it?
N-word head.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was it was an awful slur used for any black rock.
I've never in my life heard that
Most
term.
people
And we've
haven't.
been around Lake Superior and rock formations and
Well, and
limestone.
not to mention, the first thing that came to mind when I read this story is, did you guys have one outside of your high school? Because we did. And a lot of other schools have. No,
what?
because like the seniors.
rock?
Oh, you
Yes.
mean like the eagle that they paint or
yeah,
a big
they'll
rock?
paint
that-
it like the senior class
guys,
will.
This rock wasn't placed there. A glacier placed this rock 12,000 years
Well,
ago.
okay, this gets better or worse. The rock is a rare, large example of a pre-Cambrian era glacial erratic, likely over 2 billion years old. It had been designated as a monument on campus in honor of Thomas Chamberlain, a noted geologist who also served as president of the University of Wisconsin from 1887 to 1892. The plaque honoring Chamberlain has been removed from the rock. The rock will no longer be referred to by this name, but rather known simply as a glacial erratic. A new plaque honoring Chamberlain will be placed on Chamberlain Hall.
Oh, people are so sensitive.
The rock has been moved to university-owned land southeast of Madison near Lake Kaganza. The area is within a glacial till landscape. The Wisconsin Historical Society approved the permit on August 2nd following 2 rounds of public review that sought input from various stakeholders, including the native nations of Wisconsin. Bill Quackenbush, Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Ho-Chunk Nation, and Zachary Stencil, a project manager with the Archaeological Research Lab Center at UW Milwaukee, observed the moving of the rock. The presence of an archaeologist was a condition of the state permit. You had to have a rock guy there. The contractor laid ground mats to minimize any soil disturbance or compaction during the work. Over the decades, various estimates had placed the rock's weight between 35 and 70 tons. The crane operator Friday was able to get an exact reading, 42 tons. Moving the rock to this remote site prevents further harm to our community. Honest to God, it's over. Here's George Orwell in 1984. Every statue and street building has been renamed. Every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right.
This
Holy shoot.
I want to, these very sensitive, what do we call these people that are so sensitive? What's your term
Woke?
for these?
No. Woke is smart.
Sensitive little flowers, whatever.
Snowflakes.
Snowflakes, thank you. And this so deeply, deeply affects them. Last week, I just quite by accident ran across a bunch of tapes from the Smithsonian of former slaves being interviewed, recorded in the 30s and 40s. And you get to hear from their own mouths audio of them telling us what it was like to be slaves. And guys, we have no idea. This was I almost swear, unbelievable hardships. I mean, working all day in the sun, 100 plus degrees, and then working all night, and then all day, and on and on and on. And if you don't work, you get beat. If you're too beat up to work, guess what? You're dead. This was an unbelievable hardship that these folks had to live through. Can you believe, what do you suppose their reaction would be to these snowflakes that are so perturbed and so disturbed by a rock that was at one point in 1925 referred to as an N-word head?
They would be grabbed by the collar right below the neck and say, "Listen, you little punk."
Well, here's what they're saying: we're protecting people from from casually having to see the rock.
But if I walked
would've
by that
ever
rock,
I would
known.
never have associated the rock with anything
Ever.
untoward.
Ever.
and I would never go to you, "Hey, Joe, we want to go have a beer over at
No,
Bleeper Head?"
of course not. 'Cause
No.
University of Wisconsin-Madison historians have not found evidence that the racist term attached to the rock in the 1925 newspaper article was used in any capacity by the university. However, they note that the Ku Klux Klan was a pervasive presence in the Madison area in the early part of the last century, and that people of color were often mocked in minstrel shows at campus facilities and in campus satiric periodicals. What does that have to do with a rock?
They unfortunately were everywhere in the country, not
Cost
just at the
50
Rock.
grand to move the rock. Paid for by the chancellor's office and private donations. Cost 50 grand to move the
Who
rock.
the hell would donate to that?
I just wonder
Oh my God,
what some of these
starving
former
children.
slaves would say.
Okay, but now here's where you have to take this story. You must seek out its logical end game. What is safe from the party?
Nothing.
Let's use George Orwell's term.
nothing.
What is safe from the party? What is safe from this cleansing and supposedly pure ideology? I mean, am I supposed to look at rocks now and wonder if they were ever called by another name?
Of course you are.
Well, I'm not going to.
But there are what percentage of the population does this daily? They just go around
Combs.
looking for things
Combing.
to get offended about.
Well,
We should start a list. by
The
the way.
implied message
I like that
from
word,
the implied message from the Black Student Union seems to be, okay, we've started the ball rolling here. We got rid of this rock. Now it's up to you and incoming students to find other symbols we can change.
Follow our lead.
Well, it's probably historically true that back in the day of brick making, maybe blacks were low on the employment ladder for brick making. Well, do you have to tear down buildings that are made of brick?
Are schools like Wisconsin in this case, are they caving to this nonsense because they fear of retaliation with declining enrollment numbers already? Is that why they cave so easily?
I can answer it in a different way.
Yeah, good question.
I can answer it in a different way. When you look at the remarks of the chancellor, I'll get it for you. If you look at the remarks of the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, Lori Reeser, she offers no indication whatsoever that she even considered telling these students that they're overreacting. She immediately acquiesced to the demand. And because it's a historical rock, they had to bring in the State Historical Society, and you had to have the double secret probation geologist on hand. And no, she's proud of the students for doing this. There was no effort on her part to say, "Are you kidding me? What does this rock have to do with anything? It's a 2 billion year old rock."
Those folks have no shot at making it in life.
And it's named for a guy about whom no evidence can be provided that he himself was untoward.
Right.
Right. They tried like hell, but they couldn't find anything.
So what's safe?
Nothing.
Because you can just make it up. And in the failed academy, the people in charge will bend over backwards to accommodate your sensitivity.
They might have even tipped them off. Hey, if you do a little digging here, you're going to find
check
out
this
that.
out.
I know black granite headstones and cemeteries, they need to go. Your black granite countertops, they need to go. Pretty much anything that's rock and black needs to go. Just in case.
I mean, I'm gobsmacked.
Gobsmacked.
I don't know where to go with
Can you
this.
even say that anymore? Because way back when, the gobbers were...
It's just so over the top ridiculous. It's like an SNL skit. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's like the golf thing we had the other day.
If you look hard enough on the campus, you could create a scenario in which the old oak tree outside
Well, we had
the
a
oak
story.
tree outside Old Main. We know that people gathered under that tree. We know the Ku Klux Klan gathered under that tree in 1922.
Joe, that
Hang
we
on.
did a
tree's
story.
got to come down.
Yeah, no, look up hanging tree.
Right.
Chris, I
We've
think
been through.
had
No,
this
we've been
story.
through the hanging tree. That's already been in the news.
It was a symbol on somebody's state seal. That's what
tree.
it was.
Just
Yeah.
a tree, not a hanging tree.
No,
a
right.
tree.
Right.
Just as the chapel had to leave the seal of Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
The old
Right.
chapel, remember?
Roanoke College.
Yep. Oh,
we
yeah,
discussed that
Reeves.
in January.
Yeah. What'd they do? They got rid of a tree?
2 trees were removed from campus. Come on here. This is not loading properly. I apologize.
They're like 800 years old, too. Cut them bastards down.
But see, the failed academy is revealing itself here again. There's no effort in these failed academies to be a marketplace of ideas. There's no effort being made to say to the students, really? In one newspaper article in 1925, this was referred to in an unseemly manner. Do you really think students since then have walked by that rock and have been made known of the 1925 reference? Now, people, my critics might be hard on me saying, well, it's easy for you to say you're not black. But at what point will anything from the past be safe from accusations? Anything. Well, every statue and street building has to keep being renamed. Every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. And in the endless presence, that's no longer the Chamberlain Rock. It's an erratic. It's just going to be called erratic, a Cambrian erratic.
Was that a Orwell quote? Read
Yeah.
that again. I want to hear that one more time. Give that to me again.
Every statue and street building has been renamed. Every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right.
Yeah, they think they're doing the right thing by getting rid of this stuff, but in fact, what they're doing, and we've said it over and over and over again, they're erasing history, completely erasing history. They refuse to study and learn from history. Instead, they see it and they see, oh my, our history is a tad bit ugly. Well, you're damn right it is. Some of it's really ugly.
Who did the digging? Who did the digging?
They can't live with that.
Who did the digging? What modern era student did the digging to discover that the rock might have been once referred to in an unseemly way in a newspaper article in 1925? Who did that?
That's some big time microfiche machines, huh?
No, better yet, who does that?
Who wants to?
Who does that?
It's done. It's done.
And then they rush to the administration, and the administration just lays down on the floor and said, yes, I'm proud of you. Let's get rid of the rock. Why?
Ooh.
The rock had nothing to do with anything. It's a rock. It can't talk or move.
But we feel better. That's the
A
key.
rock.
We feel better about it.
The madness will just never end. It's never going to end.
I suppose you should fill in lakes where blacks were not allowed to swim. What's the history of Lake Mendota? What's the name of the lake where Otis Redding died? So Madison is an isthmus. Did you know that? It's between two lakes. It's an isthmus.
I did not know
So
that.
there's Mendota and what's the other one? Come on, help me. Look at a map. Do something, staff. Wake up.
I actually am doing something that I'm finding quite fascinating. I did the bold thing, and I entered, my Google search was, hold on, let me back up so I can see what my search words were.
Lake Monona.
Monona.
Lake Monona.
What's the history of Monona and Mendota?
I'm looking it up.
Where does the term N-word
I got
head
Mendota.
come from?
Yeah, I don't know, Kenny. I never heard of it before.
And it's got its own Wikipedia page. And it was used for all sorts of things, including bollards, soap, chewing tobacco, stove polish, canned oysters, shrimp, golf tees, toy cap pistols, among other things. Also used for geographical features such as hills, rocks, and geological objects such as geodes.
Lake Monona is a freshwater drainage lake in Dane County, Wisconsin, surrounded on three sides by the city of Madison, Wisconsin.
Well, that's improper writing right there. Nothing can be surrounded on three sides.
True.
What do you mean? Of course it
Sure
can.
it can.
No.
That just
Surround
means
is surround, not just three sides. If you're surrounded, you're
So-
surrounded.
Oh, just shut up with that.
No, I'm
nonsense.
correct. Nothing can be
Well, of
surrounded
course
on
you are,
three
but it's
sides.
so
Flanked
it's so-
on three sides.
There you go.
I'm not ripping Reavers, you moron. I'm ripping whoever wrote that.
Yeah, and I'm ripping you because you're so tedious.
But wait a minute. Why couldn't it be surrounded on three sides?
Because
surrounded
the word
is the way
surrounded is
around.
complete.
Lake Mendota acquired its present name in 1849 following a proposal by a surveyor named Frank Hudson, who claimed to be familiar with the local Native American languages. Lyman C. Draper, the first corresponding secretary of the Wisconsin Historical Society, proposed that Mendota could have been a Chippewa word meaning large or great.
I raced on that lake. It's a great lake. I like it.
I've never been.
I've been at a wedding on Lake Monona. I'm very familiar with the whole area. Spent a lot of time there, and it never occurred to me. I might even have walked past that rock a few times.
Primary inflows and outflows, the Yahara River.
How many black students you think walked past that rock over the last 100 years and never gave it a thought?
99.99%.
Yep. But just as the New York Times writer gave you a wonderful window into the elite status of the New York Times staff, so does this give you a wonderful window into the failed academy and how quickly administrators want to acquiesce to demands that seemingly strike normal people, black and white, as completely absurd. Completely absurd. Because if you're going to go with this rock, named for a guy and you can't find anything wrong with the guy. So you're getting rid of the rock because it was mentioned once in a 1925 newspaper article. And then to add on to that, they threw in that, we had some Ku Klux Klan people hanging around back then, too. What does that have to do with a rock?
Word.
Well, so what's next on that campus? Bricks?
They're searching. I don't know,
Bricks?
but whoever did this research is already doing research on somewhere else. Because that's their life's plan now. Their raison de vivre.
Yeah, we've been down that road too. I mean, how many names in St. Paul need to be changed right now before the sun goes down? Most of them.
Including
And-
Fact-based.
Yeah.
In order to have a three-sided object, at least one side must be curved, such as a cylinder or a slice of orange. You're talking about surrounded on three sides. Okay?
I'm not going to argue with
But
you.
there can be no three-sided shapes without a curved side.
I don't even know what the hell you're babbling
Joe, this
about.
whole thing is with
Like
you
an
and
orange.
surrounded is so pedantic. Just stop it with that stuff.
like an orange.
Words mean something, Kenny.
But I was doing a clarification because I knew we'd get emails on this tomorrow.
Kenny, words mean
they?
something.
Okay, Joe. I'm not gonna fight you.
I have to laugh. Oh,
You're a pain in my arse.
I know. You want to change where you work?
Yeah.
Boy,
I do, yes.
well,